All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Talking Investing, a Green Friday across the board. Hello, George. Welcome, George. Thanks for taking time out of, I know you are slammed right now. So how are you?
When you get the hurricanes,
Uh-oh.
if they spaced them out during the year, that would be a lot better.
If what?
If they spaced them out during the year, it would be a lot better.
That would be nice, right? Instead of these bursts and this way, that way. I know this week was topsy-turvy. We were down. It looked bad. I got some articles. I saved some just from yesterday to show how fast the sentiment can change in just one day. So we got a bunch of different announcements from Bitcoin miners this week. We'll go through what Bitcoin did. We'll go through what the Bitcoin miners did and some other big news. We'll talk Tesla because they had a bad day today. And so we'll start with you guys should be looking at the 15-minute chart so you can see today was pretty much up in a straight line. And on the side, you'll see all the Bitcoin miners were in the green. We'll go through what the Bitcoin miners did week to date and year to date also. So we're going to go through a lot of stuff. I see a lot of people talking about MicroStrategy. We're going to talk about MicroStrategy 2. And we'll just right off the top, shout out to one of our members, Edmund, who a year ago said, just forget all this other stuff. Just put your money in MicroStrategy and in Bitcoin, and you're going to win. And we're going to show just how well that has done. MicroStrategy is just crushing it. And I see a lot of people in the comments talking about that. Let's see. October starts today. Yes. That's from Bitcoin to 100K. I hope that you are right. Hello to all the members especially, and hello to subscribers, and hello to anybody who just so happens to be joining us. Welcome to all. If you could do us a favor and hit the like button, it does make a giant difference for the stream. Let's get this stream out to people. Let's get people excited about Bitcoin. And let's get people excited about the Bitcoin miners, especially let's get them looking at a day that is green for long last. What's happening, George?
Looking at buying a house from the IRS. But you have to put 100% of your max bid in.
You have to you have to put it in as a deposit?
Yep.
Ouch.
I've enclosed my payment of max bid, which is 100% of the payment of the high bid, and authorize the enclosed payment to be applied against the sale price.
And is it a closed auction type of a thing?
Yep.
So you guys, so they're going to get maybe 50 people's money and then give everybody else their money back, whoever wins.
You're right. It doesn't say how long they will keep your money for.
Oh boy, I don't know. There's a lot of other property out there.
Dude, is that not insane?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, minimum bid is $20,000. Wow, I can't believe that they would do it that way.
And you can't see what people have bid. It just shows a minimum bid. And is there an ask price or it's just bid auction? Sorry, guys. We'll get to all the lists today. But George always has. I don't know how you find time to do stuff like that with. I know the immense amount of stuff that he has going on. George's business is very busy with all the natural disasters that happen to have just, run through his area. So George doesn't go around storm chasing, but this stuff ran right through his area. So he's slammed right now.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking this time with us to talk some Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. And everyone's asking, so just so that you know, I am in Southwest Florida, and I'm south of where the storm hit, and we didn't get the bad part of the storm where I am. So I was fortunate. So I appreciate everybody, all your good wishes and everything. We got a lot of wind, and, people on the water, on the beach. There was a big storm surge up and down, and I know some other places got hit a lot worse. So I consider myself fortunate. So thank you, everybody, for inquiring. And yes, we're good down here.
Do you think they made too much of a big deal about it, or no? You think it was right on the money?
Well, I think both. If it depends. This could have landed in a lot worse place. This moved a little bit south of where it was headed towards the whole time, and there was a disaster scenario on the table. And if you watch the Weather Channel, you could give yourself a heart attack. So, and I did do some of that. So, in this couple of days leading up to this, there was an awful lot of fear. And depending on where you are, some people got hit and some people didn't. And, there were streets where, one house was just flooded, destroyed, and the next house was okay. Based on where your elevation is and that kind of stuff. So this was a big storm. But, man, they do love to hype these storms up beyond belief. All right. CleanSpark to 50, thank you for the super chat. And it said CleanSpark to 30 exahash, currently mining more than Marathon in October. So thanks for pointing that out. I do have a press release they put out. We will go through that later, but thanks for pointing that out. And they had a big day. I think they were, no, actually somebody else had an even bigger day, but they were up double digits. So a lot of the miners had really big days. Several of them were up double digits. And CleanSpark did put out an announcement, I think yesterday, that they are now at 30 exahash, and they're not done yet for this year. So we'll go through that in more detail. But yeah, CleanSpark is, and their stock got beat up. We'll take a look at their chart as well. I actually happen to have that one open, so you can see, like, they were trading in a very reliable range up here for a long time. And the bottom of that range was at around $14, $13.50. They're under $10 right now. So they've been stuck here. And, with the good news that they've had, I just think if Bitcoin can take a move, there could be, obviously, this is not financial advice. And you know what? So far this year, things have not gone as planned for the Bitcoin miners. And, even after Bitcoin's big day today, these guys had a great day, but you're going to see it kind of just evened things out on the week. And I just don't think we're going to get those power moves until Bitcoin does. But I just look at this and see a big trading range up here, way north of where we are right now. And that's not their all-time high. That's just their high of this year. So, from where they closed today after being up big today, that's a 158% move they need to make to get back to where they were in March. So, if Bitcoin and that's when Bitcoin broke its all-time high. So if Bitcoin can break its all-time high, we'll see. There could be some good price action ahead for these, but we are really, really, really having to wait for it. I know, hopefully everybody's feeling a little better today, but I know this has been a very, very frustrating run. Been a long sideways run. And George, are you on the sideline, or what's your...
Yeah, I would have got back in. It's so hard, Tom.
I know.
It's just so hard to be in both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I
saw my $726 I've made for the year now.
Oh, jeez. After all this, that's an awful lot of work for... Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's what I said too.
Well, and it's certainly not like you've missed it should you choose to jump back in. And I don't know what positions you're holding right now, but, let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. Though we'll go to the 1 day. You can see, Bitcoin's still off of its July highs, and I don't even have this purple line way up here as its high from March. So, it's still very much in this range it's been in for quite some time. We look at this the other way. So you can see, right? This is now more than 6 months, coming up on 7 months. So very sideways, and we'll see what happens here. right? We did have this higher high. I drew these two yellow lines right here. So we had a little bit of a higher high back at the end of September. We pulled back at the beginning of October. Now we're going to see how the rest of October goes. Robin is asking, hey, did Bitfarms reach 21 exahash? I'm confused by their social media comments. So let us know what they said, but they have not. They were at 11.3, I think, exahash at the end of September, but they did say they were still on target to get to 21 exahash at the end of the year. So there's a big difference between being on target to get to 21 and getting to 21. So we're going to see sooner than later if they're really tracking for that. And Robin's saying that they looked at that stuff, George, and it's no good.
I just found out that they owe $115,000 to Department of Georgia.
Ooh.
So how did the IRS steps in and those people still want to get their money?
Yay.
So, Tom, don't you think it's time for a poll?
You are correct, George. What do you
I want to know what people are thinking about the price of Bitcoin. What are people thinking?
Let's see. I'm putting one together right now. Good call. Sorry, I'm just typing, everybody. Give me a second. I'm going to go with these three options. So we'll start with this, and then we'll change if we don't get a definitive answer. So where will Bitcoin be at the end of October? Are we going to get up over 69K? So really, the top of this range now is way under that. So even a breakout at under 68K would get us out of this range we've been stuck in. So are we going to break out to the upside? Are we going to go sideways? And by sideways, I'm just saying stay inside of this range. So not breaking out of the top, not breaking out of the bottom. Are we going to go, or are we going to go below 60 grand? So are we going to break to, we're at 63,000 right now. So are we going up? Are we going down? Are we going sideways? Has the run begun? I guess is the question. Let's see what everybody thinks. Vote if you can. Smash the like button if you can. We got 34 likes. We're going for 100 and then 200. So it is much appreciated. Let's see. All right, I'm just trying to catch up on some of the comments.
Be positive. Look at this.
Back to the 15. So, all right, so let's start. I want to get to what a few of the Bitcoin miners did this week, because we did get some announcements. But I just want to point out a couple of there were several Bitcoin miners that were in double digits. CleanSpark was up 10.74% today. Core Scientific up 10.44% today. And when we look at year to date, Core Scientific is on fire. And then we're going to look at MicroStrategy, because as good as Core Scientific is doing, MicroStrategy's crushing it. So Cypher up 14.17% today. So who did I miss? BitDeer up over 10% today. And we had a lot of other good moves. I mean, Riot was up 8.66% today. A lot of 5s and 6s. And Bitcoin itself was up almost 6% from yesterday's close till today's close. And by that, I mean close of the U.S. equity market. So as always, you're going to see a gold line on the chart. This is where Bitcoin was when the U.S. equity markets closed yesterday. We were under 60,000. So we're now just a little bit over 63 as we speak. And that would be exciting, but I go back to not that chart, but this chart. I mean, you know, it's hard to get excited for the 20th time that we've gotten back to 63,000. So I understand, you know, people's frustration, and people, you know, George is sitting and waiting and watching. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people waiting for this breakout. So, you know, retail has left the building. I think there's a lot of people waiting for Bitcoin to cross this line, break out, maybe get, you know, back into that 68 to 70,000 and see if there's a move. I think that will build its own momentum, in my opinion, if we can get back there. But you can see how many times, you know, this was March of 2024. So, you know, we've tried and failed several times. Now, everybody was looking at the fourth quarter. And we're going to see how this poll is going. Right now, there's optimism in the poll. So I like to see that. What are your thoughts, George? Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be at the end of the month, end of the year?
Be a lot higher right now, Tom. I thought we were having a nice little run, but I don't know. They've got me guessing, especially with this whole thing with Silk Road's coming out.
Right. We're going to get to that. There was an update this week on Silk Road. There was an update this week on, hold on. Who am I forgetting?
It just seems like there's either got to be a big pump with a big dump, or just a straight up pump. Something's got to happen.
Something's got to give. Mt. Gox, that was the other one. So the two big things that have been lingering forever, both had some updates this week. So you want to go to the Silk Road one first?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to bid on. I was trying to bid on Bitcoin at the government site, because I'm not sure how they're going to sell it this time.
Let me find. Where'd that go? Okay, so crypto market slides, and this was yesterday. Crypto market slides amid fears of U.S. government selling Silk Road Bitcoin. So there's a specific reason for this. So this is not just rumor or, you know, this is not just circulating on TikTok or whatever the case may be. Something happened, and there was a ruling in the Supreme Court. So on Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal in a case involving the ownership of the 69,370 Silk Road Bitcoin. So bear in mind, that's about $4.4 billion worth of Bitcoin right now. We have gone through liquidations this year. We've gone through several liquidations that are double or triple the size of this year. So this is a big deal, but we've been... And it's part of the reason we've been so sideways for so long. A lot of, you know, between Grayscale, which, you know, we're going to take a look at that. Grayscale, just the Bitcoin that Grayscale has sold this year dwarfs this number. The amount of Bitcoin that Mt. Gox sold this year, or not really sold, gave back to their customers, dwarfs this number. But this is one of the big things. You know, there's a handful of things that have just been hanging over Bitcoin's head, you know, what feels like forever. And this is one of them. So the decision upholds a previous ruling which allows the U.S. government to auction the Bitcoins. So essentially, they now, this case is over. The Supreme Court has ruled that the government has the right to auction these Bitcoins off. So now, when? We don't know. But this clearly hit Bitcoin yesterday. But it's interesting that today, how quickly it recovers, because, you know, Bitcoin was having a rough week, and now, you know, we're up $3,000 just a day later. So these stories, they do move the market in the short term, and if all this gets liquidated, and we have no idea when or if, but this is real, and there's almost 70,000 Bitcoin here. So, you know, over $4 billion of Bitcoin, that is going to move the needle. I mean, there's just no way around it. So what do you think? Are they going to sell this, George? I mean, now they got their green light.
They just play games. I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do. If it makes a run, they're going to sell it.
They may sell some for it's. I mean, the funny thing is,
I'm not saying what I think's going to happen, Tom.
I got you.
Just saying what everybody wants to hear.
I got you. I hear you.
You know what I mean? I'm sick of aggravation. You know what I mean? It's so complicated. It's pathetic.
It is. That is the exact opposite of a simple question. And the reality is we don't know. And you know, $4 billion. I'll just say this: it's a massive amount of money. It will move Bitcoin, but you know, it's not like they're going to use this money or they need this money. So we'll just leave it at that. And
how much is that even interest for a day, Tom?
Who knows? Right. That's my point. This is just small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. So it's not like they need to sell this because they need the money. But
it's really, didn't that create? That's insane, dude. We are so screwed. Whatever.
And Robin is saying, I just don't think we're in a bull market yet with Bitcoin.
I agree, Robin. I don't know where we are, though.
Well, I think it's a fair comment, and I think this chart says it all. Until we break out of this rut, it's really hard to say we're in a bull market. We get some signs of encouragement. Oh, sorry, George, go ahead.
Did you hear about silver today?
No. What's going on with silver?
That Russia made it part of their backing. I don't know really what, you know what I mean?
Russia did something with silver.
Yeah, they did something. I don't know what it was.
How did silver do today? Silver was up 1.5% today. We'll pull up the silver chart. So year-to-date, silver's up 33%. That might not sound like a lot because we know Bitcoin miners can do this kind of stuff in a day or a week, but for a commodity, for this, you know, the second largest commodity, that's a massive move. But it's, having said that, if we go to gold, gold's up 30% year-to-date, and unlike silver, gold is at its all-time high, I believe right now, right this second. So it keeps setting new all-time highs, and so silver and gold have been a good investment this year. It's been a long time since that's been true, but it is true.
Do you think that if one candidate gets elected, that there be a better demand for gold and silver versus another one? You know what I'm saying? In the United States? Do you think that's going to have any bearing on those precious metals?
I feel like, and you know, maybe people feel this way every time, so who knows what the truth is, but I usually think, once the election's done, you know, the uncertainty's off the table, and you know, it really kind of helps everything. But I'm not sure I feel that way this time. Seems like such a polarized decision that's coming at us that, yeah, I think it might make a difference for silver, for gold, for Bitcoin, for the stock market. Ordinarily, I would say, you know, this is a good time. Usually running into an election is good. Usually right after the election, it can be good. But this time around, I think we're all scratching our heads on all these things. The biggest thing I see in the market right now is just a lot of uncertainty. And I'll go to, let me go here. So this is the volatility index, and you'll see up over 20 is high. Now, it's not record high. It's not stunningly high. But what is surprising is normally when you get these spikes, and just to put things in perspective, this spike was in August when Bitcoin crashed down to 49,000. This is the third biggest spike in like the last 20 or 30 years on the VIX. So this is not typical. I have a blue line at 35. That's usually where panic is on the volatility index. 20 is high. I got a line here between 12 and 13. You can see we were there for a long time. So one of the things that's different is right now the markets, most of the U.S. indexes are at or near their all-time high, and we have volatility. Usually the volatility is lower. When the market's ripping and roaring, that usually drives volatility down. But this is the confusion that I think I have and everybody has. The mixed signals and the volatility is real. I mean, we know that, the overall volatility is high, and the volatility in cryptocurrency, in the Bitcoin miners, it's just volatility everywhere, and there's uncertainty everywhere. So far this year, if you just invested in the S&P 500 in gold, you'd be having a really good year. Now, that's actually, over long periods of time, that's been true. But, like George said, I wish it would all even out, because it happens in spurts. And Andrew, thank you for being a member, is saying 1 year ago, Bitcoin was at about $26,000. So that puts it into perspective. So phase one of the bull market, we have done. We're going through a gigantic consolidation here. 6 or 7 months worth. But it is fair to point out, like Andrew has, that we did, we had a massive run over the course of 1 year.
I hate to say this, Tom, but I personally hope that they dump all the Bitcoin before the election.
Oh, you want to get buying opportunity?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd love to. It'd be great to maybe double my position or on Bitcoin.
I mean, that's the thing. These scares, look at the last scare, was a nice buying opportunity. So that could easily happen. Edmund's telling you to forget silver and gold and just buy Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. That is no surprise from Edmund.
I think silver is just set up to have just an unbelievable run. Just unbelievable. For probably the next 5 years, maybe even longer. It really depends on what's going to happen with the whole electric vehicle, but it doesn't really truly matter. Hey, I thought about this one. So I live in an area where they have a battery plant where they make electric batteries for electric cars. I guess it's not electric battery, but they make batteries for cars. You know what I have to tell you guys? It effing stinks. And you know why that is?
Like literally? It smells?
Stinks. Yeah, so bad. It's because they got to do all the plastic for all the batteries. That's going to be great for the freaking environment. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't totally know that process, but you're right there living it, so.
I mean, when I say it stinks, it's bad. I mean, so you got to take an ingot machine and heat up all the plastic and melt it to make it into a battery case. And that's right in the city. So, yay me.
Oh, that's right. They built that gigantic battery factory right in your area.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our poll. Where will Bitcoin be at the end of October? 70% say we're going to be over 69K. We're going to break out to the upside by the end of October. 22% say we're going to be sideways inside the range that we're in. And only 8% think that we are headed lower under 60,000. So it feels like today might have been, it'd be interesting what the answer to this question would have been 1 or 2 days ago, because you can see Like we had, I'll go to the 1 hour, makes it a little easier. I mean, we had this big run down that we got all the way up to 64. This was Monday. And then the rest of the week, I mean, was awful. But here today, we've made most of it up. So I just wonder what people were thinking, you know, here. And this happens so many times. This is the third Friday in a row. This dotted line, I don't know if you guys can see the gold dotted line. It's at $62,373. So as we were around noon today, we ran all the way back up to that line. That's where Bitcoin was last Friday. So on last Friday's live stream, when the market closed last Friday, that's where Bitcoin was. So we had gone all the way down here. It looked like we were tanking, and then bang, we run all the way right back to where we were last Friday. And then really at the end of the day, we actually ran beyond that. So we're up on the week. And most of the Bitcoin miners, well, many of them went green on the week after what looked like this was just going to be a miserable, miserable week. So it's kind of, that's good news, bad news. Like today was awesome. And it was a big up day, but most of what these companies got today was just getting back what they lost Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that feels like a lot of weeks. There have been so many weeks where that's just the exact situation. So I know, you know, and I said last week, I'm not buying the dip anymore. The only thing that I would buy is some type of monster outsized dip, because, you know, we've talked about this 1,000 times. How many dips can you buy? Right? You run out of, and so there I am, like most of the retail investors. I'm not buying right now. So that's, you know, until we get movement, I think most people are like myself, are like, let's see what you guys are doing. So we'll end this poll. So very positive. 70% think we're going to break out to the upside by the end of this month. But let's see. New poll.
What type of Tesla did you buy? I've been looking at buying an electric vehicle, guys, by the way. I've been looking at them hard. Just because when I go into the city of Atlanta, it costs me $25 to use the rich ditch, and it would be free to use the rich ditch. I'm thinking about the Ford GT, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like 20-some $1,000 for like a 22 or a 23.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so cheap.
That's incredible. We'll do that poll next. That's a good poll. What are you doing with your Bitcoin related investments? So that means Bitcoin, all cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin miners, MicroStrategy, however you're investing in Bitcoin. What are you guys doing? Are you buying? Are you holding? Are you selling? What's everybody else doing? And we know what retail is doing in general. They're just staying away. And,
I'm actually going to see if I can buy Silk Road again.
oh, you're going to go in and see if you can get some of that?
It'd be funny. Wouldn't it be funny if you could do it again? Oh, God. It says it's not available. Who pays for that? Oh, God. Oh, man. That's just too funny.
Pogo said, I just bought Tesla for the first time in over a year, but I can understand why you feel that way. Oh, I guess some people are having a conversation. Robin said, I'm not an Elon believer. I will never buy a Tesla. So we'll get sidetracked for just a minute, because Tesla was by far the big mover on the day as far as market cap goes. So let's just take a look at that. I was on this for a second earlier. Did I leave it? Okay, so this is the headline I chose to grab. Stunningly absent on detail. Tesla's robo-taxi event leaves investors wanting more. So first, let's take a look at what Tesla did and why I'm talking about this. Tesla was down 8.78% today. This is a $700 billion company. So, for them to lose almost 9% market share is a bad day. And I want to read a little bit of what this article said, because I can tell you, I've been saying some of this stuff, and, I'm not right. I'm not wrong. I just give my opinions, and this is kind of something I've been feeling for a long time. And let me find it. Investors were left with more questions than answers, it seems, following Tesla's quote, "We Robot" Robotaxi event on Thursday night. So this was last night, and this is what investors think about it. Tesla tanked today. So let me find the thing that I'm talking about. While Musk articulated his vision for an autonomous world, it offered little beyond what he has articulated repeatedly over the last few years. I won't even pronounce this person's name, but this analyst complained that the details on the new product offering and timeframes were missing, in particular details about a path towards regulatory approval for robo-taxis, FSDs, full self-driving, compatibility with Tesla's existing EV fleet, safety measures, so et cetera, et cetera. So it seems like investors felt like, and I didn't listen to this to be fair, so I can't speak for myself, but the market spoke with down almost 9% today. They were not happy with this update on the robotaxi situation. There was some exciting stuff. They rolled out a new vehicle, and some other stuff. But all in all, obviously, this was a big letdown in the very short term. Now, Pogo bought. So a lot of people may have been waiting and looking for a chance to get into Tesla. And maybe this was it. I don't know. But this was definitely the big mover on the day today. Robin said, I don't mind buying the dip. However, I'm bummed out with the miners' ATM usage and the lack of financial stewardship. So Robin's back on switching gears back on the Bitcoin miners. Can you say again?
I said I'm with Robin.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so let's go to a press release because it relates directly to that. And this actually was last Friday, I think, but I'm going to talk about it because we kind of breezed over it. And I think this happened after hours, and Bitfarms dipped real quick after hours and then went right back up as people digested it. But there was some information in here. So this is an amendment and restatement of their at-the-market offering. And they're saying it's now up to, it was a $375 million offering, and it's saying up to $126,874,834. And the reason for that is, if you take the $375 million offering in total, in here it says that they've sold 109 million common shares under the sales agreement for gross proceeds of approximately $248,125,000 and change. So they've used $248 million of this. The $126,874,834. The rest of that, let's see, it says it right in here. So up to 126 million of common shares in accordance with the sales agreement. Pursuant to the sales agreement, the company may distribute offered shares from time to time. Where do they talk about this? This is the amount, essentially. I'm not finding the exact verbiage, but this is to close the stronghold deal. So effectively, I think that between what they've already issued and what it would take to close the stronghold deal, I think that's what's happening here. Thought they mentioned it specifically, but I'm not sure. I'm looking for it. So somebody let me know if you can find that. But I think that that's what's happening. So effectively, they've run through their, or will, if they close that deal, their at the market offering, to go to Robin's point with, all the stock dilution that's going on. So yeah, I don't know if it was in another document that I thought I saw that specifically referenced, but that's roughly the amount of what's going on there. So I think they were, required. So this wasn't necessarily news, but to Robin's point, and 375 million is one of the smaller at the market offerings, right? We've got multiple $500 million. There's several companies that have had back-to-back 500 million. I think Marathon had $1 billion, or maybe Riot. I mean, the Marathon, Riot, and CleanSpark have done their share of dilution, but so have a lot of the rest of them. And they've had to. Iron has, but Iron's quadrupled their exahash. You're not going to do that without significantly diluting your stock. There's just no place else to get the money. So this goes back to that scenario. Like, do you want to get bigger, right? In anticipation of Bitcoin making a run? Do you want more market share? More exahash means more market share of the total network and, more reward. And, and then there's the companies that are diversifying. So one of the press releases that came out this week, there are several Bitcoin mining companies that have decided to split their efforts between Bitcoin and high performance computing / AI, if you will. We like to say high performance computing on this channel. So, there's TeraWulf put out a press release. Obviously, Core Scientific has a lot of high performance computing as a part of their equation. TeraWulf plans to have a lot. Iron plans to have, I think $30 million they're expecting in revenue. $30 or $34 million is their expected 12-month revenue. And that could grow, right? Because these guys are all allocating more and more. And Robin's saying none of these miners are creating true shareholder value. Well, I mean, that's going to be the question. So we'll go to what we talked about earlier. CleanSpark achieves 30 exahash, expects to continue growth to 50 exahash in 2025. So they are now at 30 exahash. That's triple what they came into this year at. So the company's hash rate has surged 200% since October of 2023. So this is the question. Do you feel like they have added value? Yes, they've diluted over $1 billion, I believe, but they're up 200% in their exahash. They've increased their efficiency significantly. So that's not only new machines, but it's replacing some old machines. So is this the value equation? That's, I think, only time is going to tell if this is the value equation out here, or if Bitcoin doesn't do what we want it to do, then these companies have made big, big bets. And Barry is asking, did we ever find out who Satoshi was / is? So the answer to that, there was I think it was a HBO special, and everybody was very disappointed. I did not watch it, but I read all about it. Everybody was I think I might have an article. Just a moment.
Did anybody watch it?
Yeah, that's the real question. Okay, former Bitcoin developer Peter Todd denies he's Satoshi hours before the HBO documentary airs. Of course, quote, "Of course I'm not Satoshi," Todd told CoinDesk Tuesday, saying that filmmaker Colin Hobach was grasping at straws. So everybody was very disappointed. There was nothing definitive. I read some people's something about, this person had the same, I don't even know how they would know this, the same favorite toppings on their pizza was like a piece of the puzzle on how they were trying to solve who Satoshi is. I don't. It seems like it was nonsense.
what is it? Extra anchovies.
Oh, I wish I saved that article. There was a couple of toppings. Again, I did not watch the thing. I just read everybody's comments about it. And the giant consensus was that this was a waste of time. They proved nothing. For those of you who don't know, there was a thing going on out there on who HBO put out a special, and they were going to talk about who Satoshi was, the creator of Bitcoin. But as usual, that turned out to be a big nothing. Pardon me. So we should get to, I want to get to quickly, this week CPI came out and PPI came out. So inflation data came out, and in this order. So on Wednesday, CPI came out. And despite the fact that it was 2.4, I mean, this has dropped. Whatever you think of these numbers, I understand. These are, take them as with all points of data. That's one thing. Take it with a grain of salt. But we're now, last month was 2.5. This month is 2.4. However, the market was actually I won't say very. The market was disappointed. Consensus was that it was going to go to 2.3. So this missed by a little bit. But then, so that was Wednesday. But then today, PPI data came in, and this is the one the Fed says that they prefer. This came in at 0 versus 0.1. So this beat expectations. And the end result of all of this, because here's what all of this means. Forget all these numbers. Everybody wants to know, what's the Fed going to do? So by the time all these numbers came out this week, we're now, it seems like, and there's a long time to go. The next meeting is November 7th. But it seems like the market is now locked in. 90% chance that the Fed's going to do a 25 basis rate cut. 10% chance that they will do a 0 rate cut. And all other things options have been eliminated for the time being, because as new data comes out, this number changes. For instance, 1 month ago, it shows 48% chance of the lower option here, 450 to 475, and a 45% chance of 475 to 500. So this was almost split half and half. Now it's 90-10. And in the middle, it did all kinds of other things. So we'll see. The inflation data, it seems like, was a little bit of a overreaction, and by the end of the week, it all settled itself out, and the end result is we think we're going to get a 25 basis point rate cut. What are you doing with your Bitcoin investments? So that is the poll. You can vote on that right now. So we got 35% saying they're still buying the dip, buying. 56% are holding, and 8% are selling. So we do have some people selling, but it seems like mostly holding, and we still do have some people maybe dollar cost averaging in. And, a lot of people would argue that is the smart way to do this. And there's many different ways to invest. So obviously, everybody knows their own situation, not financial advice. You guys do you, as I know you do. Let's just see. We're at 67 likes. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. If you're just got here or if you haven't smashed the like button, if you could do so, it does help the stream out a lot. I want to take a look at MicroStrategy. So congratulations if you hold MicroStrategy. And again, I'll point out one of our members, Edmund, has been screaming at the top of his lungs in every single live stream for almost a year now to buy MicroStrategy. So if you look at MicroStrategy, I'm going to type year to date. MicroStrategy is up 236% year to date. So that is versus the Bitcoin miners. This is the best performer by far. So I think in our data that we do weekly, I'm going to add MicroStrategy. It's on our list. We look at the price action, but we don't compare it to the Bitcoin miners. But, you know, the truest plays on Bitcoin are obviously, other than buying the cryptocurrency itself, is the Bitcoin miners. Obviously, you now have the ETFs, and then you've got MicroStrategy. And by far the most successful out of all of those has been MicroStrategy in 2024. Core Scientific's in a distant second, but Core Scientific has performed extremely well, but distantly behind this. So next we'll take a look at what all the Bitcoin miners have done year to date. Maxime, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, pardon me if I'm not. Thank you very much for the comment. That is very kind of you. Sorry. So let's go with that. Let's look at what the Bitcoin miners did. So this is where the week ended. This is Friday over Friday. So you can see we got a lot of green and a lot of red. So not all Bitcoin miners had the same week here this week. Core Scientific was the #1 Bitcoin miner on the week. They've been the #1 Bitcoin miner year to date. We're going to look at that chart next in 2 minutes. But here they go again, #1 on the week, up 8%. So you'll see after all of the ups and downs this week, Bitcoin ended the week up 1%. So we saw at noon today, it was exactly flat on the week, 0%. And it moved up another 1%. So it's up 1% on the week. We had a bunch of Bitcoin miners in the green. The big surprise to me on this list, there's a couple of them. Riot was up 7%. Riot has been an underperformer all year. So it didn't finish in first place. It was looking like it might, but it did finish in second place this week. It's in dead last year to date. So is this the turn for Riot? Are they going to start to rally a little bit? Drop your comments in the chat. What do you think on that? And because we've never seen Riot up at the top of this weekly list in 2024. On the flip side, you know, we had some that did not perform very well. Bitfarms was down 8%, and Iron, which is one of the stronger performers this year, was down 11%. So I'm not sure why Iron had such a tough week, but you can see, I mean, these are big differences. CleanSpark, which was up, you know, had a huge up day today. It got it all the way to exactly 0 on the week. So that's the roller coaster ride. I mean, you could have, Monday felt bad, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, bad, and then boom, you make it all up in one day and you're right back exactly where you started. And the same thing was basically true if you were holding Bitcoin. I got 2 comments in a row. Kevin K said Tom's been calling a Riot surge. So I feel like Riot, you know, to me, I feel like it's been beaten up and it's lagging behind. I think it's going to do some catching up, but, you know, again, my opinion, not financial advice. And so far this year, I've just been nothing but wrong up until this week. And then, and Kevin, thanks for being a member. And then Alexander, who's also a member, said the Riot rally is over. So and Kevin's asking, where are those who love Iron so much at today? Yeah, I mean, Iron's been a fan favorite. I like what Iron is doing. I've done a 180-degree turn on Iron. There was a couple of companies that I was worried about maybe a year to 15 months ago that really turned things around, and that they are Iron and Wolf, in my opinion. Just from a stock performance standpoint, they've just had fantastic years. You can see Iron's down 11% on the week, but it's still green on the year. So let's take a look at year to date. So this is year to date. You can see what I'm saying. So Core Scientific's up 138%, but I'm going to go back to something real quick. MicroStrategy, if you guys can see this green number right here, MicroStrategy's up 236% year to date. So as phenomenal as this is, not to undersell Core Scientific, congratulations if you guys held Core Scientific this year. You're killing it. But those are your 2 best performers. Both of those are drastically outperforming Bitcoin. You've got TeraWolf, that in the green, up 75%, outperforming Bitcoin. Then you got Bitcoin's up 50% year to date. So I'm going to go to an article later that talks about how I'm just going to show you. You got to always be careful about what you're reading, because people manipulate numbers around, and you just got to kind of take a deeper dive or a closer look if you're going to make a buying or selling decision based on an article you read or any of that kind of stuff. And of course, you should do your full due diligence before buying or selling anything. Anyway, IREN, even after being down 11%, they're still in the green this year, up 8%. Now, I understand that's not what we're looking for holding these Bitcoin miners, is an 8% move to the upside when Bitcoin's up 50%. But it is green, and now Cypher has joined the list of companies that have gone positive. It's up 1%. But you're going to see, to my point, Riot is down 46% year to date. That is just last place. Riot and Marathon, which is the largest by market cap, is down 32%. That's the third worst, and Bitfarms is down 36%. So Bitfarms is now talking about diversifying into high-performance computing, but they haven't really done anything yet. So, some of these pure plays have gotten beaten up. Riot's gotten beaten up for other reasons. I think Riot and Bitfarms arguing with each other. Look who's in last and second last. The two companies arguing with each other. So they did come to a couple of weeks ago what they called a resolution, which was, I'm not sure they resolved everything. Riot still does own almost 20% of Bitfarms, and there still is, I think, some kind of takeover bid going on, but the activity seems to have settled down a little bit, and maybe they both looked at each other and saw this on the chart. Their stocks are getting crushed. And remember, these guys are having to dilute to continue to grow, so their stocks being beaten down like this does hurt the company and the investors. It says George has a lovely gun displayed behind him.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. That was Barry. What are you talking about, Barry?
No gun. I have to check.
That is fake news, I believe. Crypto Rich said, just tuning in. Did you talk about Mara already? We did not talk about Mara. What's going on, Crypto Rich, with Marathon? I did not see any press releases from them. I did not see anything, any SEC filings with them. It seemed like a quiet week for them. Oh, Barry's saying LOL. So just kidding, George. All right, so let's end this poll. Buying 35%, holding 55%, selling 10%. I'm going to do one, since we were talking about it, and we were talking about Tesla today. I want to just do a quick, this is a non-cryptocurrency poll. We'll make it quick, and then we'll get back to a different poll. Because Tesla tanked today and George was talking about potentially buying an electric vehicle, I'm just interested. Does anybody, who owns an electric vehicle? Yes or no? Doesn't have to be your only vehicle. Do people out there own electric vehicles? Where are you guys versus the general population? Let's see what's going on here.
Said electric vehicle.
Electric vehicle.
Not a car?
An electric car?
You didn't say that.
Well, that's true. Okay. Well, yeah, that's right. Who owns an electric car?
Okay, I'm just making sure.
That's a fair clarification. I'm not talking about a forklift or anything like that.
Well, I was going to say, I have a golf cart.
Ah, yes, that's true. I'm not talking golf carts. So to clarify, by that I mean a car or SUV or whatever the case may be that you drive on the road. Edmund said EV equals never. EVs are a fad. EVs are here to stay. So we got some differing in opinions. Is a hybrid considered an EV? We have a lot of Teslas in Southwest Florida. I will tell you that. That is for sure. Andrew's saying, Tom and George, I gave up on Mara last month. In the last 30 days, my portfolio is up 10%. No more struggles with these miners. So I know that. I understand that feeling. I mean, look at what's on the screen. This has just been more red than green this year. So if you happen to be in the right miner, and the miners, right, we read an article about this earlier. Core Scientific is heavy into the high performance computing. Their stock is off and running. So this AI play, and TeraWulf just put out a press release, which I'll go to next, which is all about high performance computing and AI. So they're leaning heavy into this. They're really not doing a lot of it yet, but they're leaning heavy into it, and it's paying off from a stock standpoint. Iron has talked a lot about high performance computing as well, allocating a portion of their infrastructure to high performance computing. Barry's got an electric lawnmower. That does not count, Barry, but thank you for the input. So let's go to the TeraWulf thing. TeraWulf enters into a long-term ground lease at Lake Mariner, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, facility to attract high-quality customers. So what's customers? High-performance computing, because obviously as a Bitcoin miner, you have no customers. So here we go. TeraWulf, leading owner and operator of vertically integrated next-generation digital infrastructure powered by predominantly zero-carbon energy, today announced long-term ground lease agreement at Lake Mariner that supports the company's expansion into high-performance computing, HPC, and AI data centers, and positions TeraWulf to attract long-term, high-quality customers. So this was a contract that already existed. I think it was a 10 or 15-year contract. Well, they reworked it. It's now a 35-year contract with a 45-year option to extend. So that's 80 years. And it's increased in size by nearly 50% from 107 acres to 157 acres. And this allows infrastructure capacity of 750 megawatts. So this is now all of TeraWulf. This is their facility. And here they are talking that they're locking into, up to options up to an 80-year lease for 750 megawatts. And they're looking to build this out to attract high-performance computing and AI data center customers. So this just goes to, if you're looking at the haves and the have-nots, the companies that have put out these press releases and talked about high-performance computing have just outperformed the companies that have, conversely, Marathon and Riot and CleanSpark have talked about they want to be pure plays pretty much on Bitcoin. So you can see a big, big difference in performance, in stock performance in 2024. So that wasn't necessarily the case in 2023. We'll see what next year brings. Andrew, thank you. Thanks for the comment.
Don't you think all cars report on you now, by the way? We'll snitch on you to the police and record your face while you're driving. I think my Tahoe does that too, by the way.
I mean, I don't know where the information goes, but we know cars are collecting information. I mean, there's so many computer chips in a car now. It's crazy.
I think my car has gotten I think somebody else has one digit different than mine. And whoever has the one difference digit is in the government, and they give me a pass. Cause I've gone by police just doing stupid numbers, and they've never pulled me over. It's insane. I mean, I would have pulled me over. And the only time I got pulled over, the guy shook my hand and said, "Have a good day."
Well,
even Becky was like, "You should have went to jail." I'm like, "I'm the poop."
George, that's good luck.
They're trying to liquidate the longs. Oh no, they're trying to liquidate the shorts.
148 million longs will get liquidated at 61.6. We might dip over the weekend, so I would be okay.
That's not that much money, though. Usually it's in the billions.
Right. Sometimes there's massive concentrations that are a little further away, right? We just crossed through that today, so it's pretty close, so it hasn't had time to build up to a, one of those gigantic numbers. But we do tend in the short term, even if it's just quick bounces, to gravitate towards these liquidation numbers. Let's see. Okay, so let's look at the other side. So just a moment. Here we go. So we talked about Silk Road. That was what, about 70,000 Bitcoin that the Supreme Court decided the government has the right to auction off. So that happened yesterday. But then this also happened. Mt. Gox postpones repayment deadline to 2025. Crypto wallets linked to the defunct exchange still hold 2.8 billion of Bitcoin after having distributed about 6 billion worth of the assets to creditors earlier this year. So Silk Road's got 4.4 billion. Mt. Gox has already liquidated 6 billion in 2024. It looks like the little bit less than 3 billion they've now delayed out to, this says 1 year, out to October 31st, 2025. So, now all of a sudden we got yesterday Silk Road coming into action. Today, Mt. Gox may be going out of action. So, these things continue to bounce around. But this is what I'm saying. This is a lot of money. $6 billion of outflows from Mt. Gox. And I think there's like, I don't want to say the wrong number. I'm going to look it up. Just 1 second. Yeah, I think that's right. About $20 billion. So Grayscale, the Grayscale ETF, and then we'll look at what's going on with ETFs. Let's go to that right now. Oh, okay. It's right here on the chart. So this is the flow of the ETFs. So you can see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were net outflows. BlackRock has had a couple of net outflows in October. That is extremely rare for them. Even when they're usually doing nothing and post to zero, but they did have 2 outflows. So Monday we had this gigantic inflow of 235 million. We gave it back, not all of it, but some of it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today, I'm guessing we're going to have a positive number because Bitcoin really rallied nicely today. So that's highly likely. But if you look, so, Mt. Gox put $6 billion worth of Bitcoin back into circulation. Grayscale has liquidated $20 billion worth of Bitcoin. So this is a lot of the selling pressure. So if everybody's wondering, why is Bitcoin sideways for 6 months, more than 6 months now, with all the buying pressure the ETFs have bought, and still net of this $20 billion of outflow, the ETFs have still brought in $18.6 billion. And Bitcoin is still up dramatically from the day these ETFs opened. Bitcoin was in the 40s. So we're at 63 right now. So I see somebody asking for those about the hurricane. So I did let everybody know that we kind of did okay here. We got lucky in our area. It wasn't It wasn't that bad. So I know there were other people that were not as lucky. So hope everybody's safe. A lot, I think 2.5 million people lost electricity. Not that that's the end of the world, but that's no fun in the Florida heat. All right, so let's go to some of the news. So this was an article yesterday. Nearly 50% of U.S. investors plan to invest in crypto ETFs, and this from Charles Schwab survey. Although I do think they've misworded this. So I'm going to show you why. I think new Schwab survey is out where they ask ETF investors. So I think this is 50% of ETF investors. Nearly 50%. So you can see US equities came in first place, 55%, cryptocurrency in second place, 45%. But my point of this is, like, there's a lot of adoption ahead. Right? This is why Charles Schwab is asking this question. Cryptocurrency finished just behind equity. U.S. investors are very keen on investing in exchange-traded funds that hold cryptocurrencies. So at the moment, that's your Bitcoin ETFs and your Ethereum ETFs, which have had the opposite. They have actually had outflows since they opened. And Ethereum continues. So Ethereum's at 2,400. I mean, you can see it's still so far off of its highs from this year. Never mind its alt. It still hasn't reached its previous cycle all-time high. And it's 66%, it's almost 67% off of its highs from March. Versus, to put that in perspective, Bitcoin, well, the purple line is their high. Bitcoin's 17% off. So Ethereum's 67% off. So Ethereum's been a very rough investment this year. Let's get rid of this poll. Do you own electric vehicles? So 17%, and we got a lot of votes on this one. So thank you guys for voting in the polls. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for smashing the like button. If you just joined us and you haven't, if you would please, we're going for 100 likes. Much appreciated. So we'll end this poll. Going to ask another question. New poll.
New poll. Has anybody seen the second moon? So are you going to see?
I saw a photograph. All right, this is a simple one. Will you invest or are you already invested in the Ethereum ETFs? Who here is interested? George?
No.
That's a pass from you.
What about you?
That is a pass from me. I've never felt Ethereum. I'm going to say I don't get it. Maybe that's not the right way to say it. I'm uncomfortable with Ethereum. And it's not so much its performance this year. I've been saying this all the while, and whether I turn out to be right or wrong, maybe it will outperform. Who knows? I don't know, but I think if you're not comfortable in something, it's not something you should invest in. And I just don't, this is old news, but the switch from proof of work to proof of stake is such a fundamental shift. I lost a lot of confidence with that. And there's a lot of other projects that are just getting very competitive that people seem to be a lot more interested in than Ethereum. So let's look at how everything. I'm going to press refresh here. So you can see the last 24 hours, Bitcoin's up 5%. But if we look at week to date, everything's a little bit in the green, but very sideways. And you've got, Solana, the performance of Solana versus the performance of Ethereum this year. This is one of the big winners on the year. And, not so much this last week necessarily, and Sui, I know, I hear another giant week for Sui. So we've been talking about Sui for the last couple of weeks on the channel, and we're way late on it already, but it's still, haven't missed it. It was up 15% again this week. So to me, those are the two most popular this cycle. Obviously, we still have a lot of popularity in Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, and Ethereum may well yet make its run and take out its old all-time high and all those things. I'm not saying that it won't do those things. I'm just saying for me, it's a no versus Bitcoin. So we'll see. I'm looking at the this is the 1 hour chart. Let's get back to the 15-minute chart. So we'll see if this can hold. We ran up over 63,000. We've been fighting to hold 63,000 really since the market closed. We're going to see if that can hold or not. Mark said, Sui is hot. Yeah. And Robin saying, ETH is like an outdated biotech. Just reading some of the comments. Pogo, I think, is a buyer if it drops 25%. We've got somebody saying ETH is garbage. Clown coin. So not a lot of ETH fans on here. Right now, this poll is at 85% no. Are you interested or do you own Ethereum ETFs? 85% no. And this is pretty much a cryptocurrency group. Now, it's obviously more biased towards Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, etc. But this would certainly be more cryptocurrency savvy than the average group of people. And it's a big, big no with this group. So then this is the article I just wanted to point out, and just for whatever it's worth, you got to be careful what you read. So I'm going to go through this just for very quickly. Bitcoin on track for record sideways action. That's the headline here. Then they say, Bitcoin is nearing the record for the longest sideways market range post-halving, currently at 285 days since the last halving in April. Well, that's not right. Those are the summary bullet points, and that's right. We just, the halving was, I think, 100, and I feel like I wrote down 100. I can't find it, but I think 177 days ago. Oh, I wrote that down somewhere. Some plus or minus 177 days ago, not 200. We are 285 days into the year 2024. We're not 285 days into Bitcoin going sideways. Bitcoin is up 50% in this 285 days. So the whole premise of this is that would be a record, but it's not even correct. 285, and then they say, quote, 285 days have passed since the Bitcoin halving. Well, that is false. That's just objectively false. So this was, somebody posted this, and I think what they meant to say, and maybe they did say, and this article's misquoting it, I don't know. My point of this is you got to be careful what you read, because this just isn't true. We're 285 days into the year. We're not 285 days post-halving. So the two previous halvings, by the way, it took for Bitcoin to take out its previous all-time high. Now, this cycle was weird. It took it out before the halving due to the ETFs. But in the previous two cycles, 2020 and 2016, it took between 215 days and 240 days after the halving for Bitcoin to take out the previous all-time high. So that's typically how long it takes. And then both times, pretty much from there, it was straight up. That's when the parabolic move went. So that's what happened the last couple of times. Obviously, this cycle is a little different with the ETFs. We peaked early. We're going side. We are consolidating for a long time. It's just that this is a be careful what you read situation. Alexander said, can we talk about fees? They are 10x in the last few weeks. Now we are having fees at 1 Bitcoin per block. Yeah, so that is a lot. And, it's not the spike. We've had some crazy spikes where there was 3, 4, 5, there was a 7, 8, a rate around the halving. This went ballistic. But yeah, that is 1 Bitcoin per block is significantly more than the average over the years. So that's good for Bitcoin miners, right? It's awful if you're trading Bitcoin. So to George's point, it's hard to trade in and out of Bitcoin because you pay such fees. George, isn't that one of the reasons you kind of
hold? That's why I hold.
That's why you hold, right? Because
your nose. I didn't realize it was so late.
Oh yeah, we're getting close.
Let me get in the car. I'll talk in a little bit.
All right. George is going to switch over to the car. We're getting pretty close ourselves. Let me just take a look. I might be very near the end of my list anyway. George, if you can still hear me, I think we're pretty much going to just wrap. And Andrew is saying trade on Kraken Pro. Fees aren't high. And Robin is saying Solana or bust. This poll. So this was a big no on Ethereum. Just reading my notes, guys. Sorry to see if I've missed anything big. Oh, I did want to show just one other thing. Just to show how fast things change. We talked about this earlier, so this was yesterday. Bitcoin tumbles below 59K amid inflation worries, regulatory onslaught on crypto. So just 1 day ago, this was 25 or 26 hours ago. Bitcoin was at 59,000. Sentiment was awful. We were multiple days into Bitcoin moving down in the wrong direction. The Bitcoin miners were down. Crypto prices are sharply lower on Thursday, led by Bitcoin's 4% decline. So this is what a difference a day makes. That was yesterday, and now here we are today. We've retraced, we've gotten all of that back, and then some. So that's another thing to bear in mind as we go sideways and get exhausted. And I'm going to go to this 1 day chart where we're just super sideways. Another thing to bear in mind is, things change quickly. And, You know, we do cryptocurrency more than anything else gets these big moves. Edmund saying 0.48% for Bitcoin on Robinhood. So I guess that's the transaction fee. Transfer out up to 5K per every 24 hours. So yeah, you can do some cryptocurrencies there as well. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm just going to tell everybody, let's go back to the 15-minute. I hope everybody had a good day today. Hopefully this evened out your week a little bit. Hopefully your portfolios got a little more green this week than last week. I hope everybody has an awesome, fantastic weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the stream. And special thanks to all of our members for joining the stream as well. Thanks to George, who I'm not sure if he can hear me or not. I know he's moving to his car right now. So a nice green day to finish out the week. So glad about that. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And we will see the members Tuesday for members only live stream. And we'll see everybody, of course, every Friday. So hope to see you guys next week.